And welcome to Instant Insights. At GlobalData Strategic Intelligence, we track over 100 tech, industry, ESG, and macro themes impacting all major sectors. I'm Romilly Leech, and I'm joined by Martina Raveni, Strategic Intelligence Analyst here at GlobalData. We'll talk today about small language models. What are they, why they are increasingly popular, and their environmental impact. Hi, Marty. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Romilly.
So, you recently published a deep dive on SLMs and their environmental impact. Before we dig into the theme, I just wanted to ask you first, what exactly are small language models?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's start with the definition of small language models. So, a small language model, or SLM, is an AI model, which means it's capable of processing, understanding, and generating natural language content. But as the name implies, a small language model is smaller in scale because it can vary from a few million to a few billion parameters than their larger counterpart, which normally have of billions or even trillions of parameters. And they are also different in scope as small language models are tailored to specific industries and tasks. It's interesting because we've been seeing small language model gaining popularity recently. Last year in 2024, nearly every major AI developer, so Microsoft, OpenAI, Google, Meta, released their compact and high-performing models.
Thanks, Marty. That's a really great overview of small language models. But I just want to know, why did these models start to appear on the market? And do you have any examples?
Yeah, sure. That's a good question. Let's start by saying that we find these models in setting where computational resources are limited or real-time processing is crucial, so which means we need low latency. For example, if you think about real-time language translation, or you think about voice assistants, smart navigation in vehicles, so all those are all environments where small language models have a business case. In some cases, small language models are more applicable than large language models, and the reason is because they are, as I said before, programmed for specific industries and tasks, but I wanted to stress they are not meant to replace their larger counterpart, but rather complement them. Another point to make is that they are still in their infancy. I'm sure that as technology matures and research advances, we will see more commercial applications in the next years. And just to give some examples, last year in 2024, Cerence launched an automotive-grade small language model developed in partnership with Microsoft. And the aim of this model is to improve the in-car AI experience, like for example with the car control commands or point of interest search and navigation. Or again, another example that comes to my mind is Sentient. Basically, the company launched its on-device voice assistant using 23 million parameter small language model.
Thanks, Marty. I think next we should probably talk about the environment. So, obviously, rapidly growing AI-related energy consumption poses sustainability challenges, and that sparks a crucial debate. These large AI models are increasingly powerful and complex, and that results in considerable energy consumption and consequently a larger carbon footprint, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Indeed, despite the improvements, the power consumption required to train AI systems continues to rise. And you just mentioned LLMs have a high environmental cost, 100%. And we've done a lot of research on that, GlobalData, because the energy requirements are not just related to training these AI models, but also to inference. And there is a lot to discuss on that. But just to stay on the point on small language models, these smaller compact models represent, in a way, a more sustainable option. I want to emphasize that small language models are not built to be greener, but they have a series of intrinsic characteristics that ultimately they can have a smaller carbon footprint compared to large language models. We can go some through some examples of them very, very quickly. For example, a smaller model uses less memory and computing power simply because it has less number of parameters. And again, the lower number of parameters allows for shorter training times, which means saving energy. If you spend less time to train, you consume less energy. And just to give an example, the training process for GP33 consumed like more than 1,000 megawatt hour of electricity, and it took several weeks to be trained. While if you think about Llama 3.2 from Meta, it's 1 billion to 3 billion parameter and consume just about 500 megawatt hours to train, and it took a few days to be trained. So those are a couple of points where they are greener. Third, SLMs consume less inference energy that we stressed before that it's a point of concern, the inference energy used. And the reason is because they do not generate answers from scratch by recombining patterns from massive data sets, like LLM does. And also, small models creation and optimization techniques are driving stronger performance over time, which of course results in lower energy consumption. To give an idea of this, in 2022, the smallest model we had was Google's Palm with 540 billion parameters, and it recorded a score higher than 60% when measured against one of the benchmark. Basically, they use benchmark that are designed to evaluate the capability of these models, and it scored higher than 60%. And in 2024, so 2 years later, Microsoft V3 Mini, small language model of 3.8 billion parameters, achieved the same threshold. So that's really an example of how they are they have a strong performance, these small language models. As a final point, SLMs are suited for AI inferences directly on edge devices. So the ability of small language models to offload computing to the edge of the network saves power because it eliminates the energy costs associated with the transmission of data to centralized and large data center infrastructure. And this is another reason why they save power. So I briefly touched these main reasons why small language models are inherently greener, but yeah, there is a deeper discussion in the deep dive on environmental impact of small language models.
Thanks very much, Marty. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for, but thank you so much for that bite-sized chunk of your deep dive, which sounds really interesting. So thanks for joining us today. Thank you for those instant insights. Thanks for listening, and from us in Strategic Intelligence, we'll see you next time.